still waiting for one more member for quorum. So if you can hang on, as soon as we have quorum, we'll gavel in. Thank you.
Great.
Go ahead.
Good morning and welcome to the Honolulu Ethics Commission. I'm Shelton Jamal, Chair of the Commission. And all commissioners that are attending remote, I don't believe that any are attending remote. Please remain visible on the screen. My understanding is that there are no commissioners attending remotely.
Yeah, Commissioner Martellus running
Okay.
late.
That's okay. And for the record, I'm going to ask for a roll call of the commissioners present to establish a quorum. And let me start with myself, Shelton Jamal, present.
David Monk, present.
Peter Adler here.
Tanya Rice, present.
And Fukunaga here.
And Linda Martell, I know is on her way. I know she's on her way. We have at least 5 commissioners present. Therefore, we have quorum and the meeting is called to order. The time is now 11:37. Before we get started, are there any members of the public who would like to identify themselves and address any agenda item? Any? None?
The microphone went on for an 8084.
What is that?
Oh, no, the microphone went on.
Well, we need to identify who that is.
Well, they turned their microphone off, so I don't think they're presenting testimony.
Okay. Do we need identification of who that is to?
You can ask, but you're not.
They're not able to say.
Okay.
It's a public meeting. So
You can recognize Jeff Can, who is our new deputy.
And I'd like to introduce and recognize Jeff Camp from the Corporation Council, who will be assisting the commission. Who will be assisting the commission. Good morning, Jeff. We miss.
Good morning.
Christine Wana, and we thank you for stepping in, your service, and tell Moana, take care. Been a great service.
You're very welcome, and I will.
Thank you. Are there any other members on the WebEx who would like to identify themselves, who are just identified by the phone? I'll give them the option. All right.
Aloha. Hello,
Who's-
I have my
who's-
phone. Hi, are you addressing me?
Yes.
Aloha. Hey, my name is Tom Berg. I'm hoping to testify today.
Okay. Well, Mr. Berg, I need to ask you, are you testifying as to an item pertaining to the agenda?
Yes, sir. It is if I can identify it, it's agenda item 2B 2C. Investigation.
Okay,
doing Tuesday.
well, why don't we go on and allow you to testify? And I want to give you a few statements about limitations. First of all, you are limited to 3 minutes. And let's see, were you time?
Yes.
And so the limitation is 3 minutes because we have a lot of business to discuss at the commission. Also, I'm not specifically clear that it is a specific item on the agenda, so I will forewarn you on that, even if it is a generic type of category. But more importantly, that anything you say is, we must remind you that if it's confidential, pursuant to revised ordinance of Honolulu pursuant 3-6-10A1, we would urge you not to disclose any confidential information. And this is subject to the ethical rules of procedure as set below, especially if you're discussing any kind of situation pertaining to a claim, complaint, or appeal or process with the Ethics Commission. So we would forewarn you that we would consider that to be inappropriate, but I don't know what your testimony is going to be, so with that, why don't you tell us, or why don't you testify or provide us what you're gonna, what information you expect to inform the commission about?
Yes, thank you, Chair. That's very clear. And if I may respond, I'd like to solicit for inquiry the staff with the Ethics Commission. If I, Tom Berg, if there is indeed an appeal, and thereby if there is an appeal, is this the forum for me to convey such appeal, or what is the appeal? I want to first let you know I've inundated your staff there, unfortunately, due to very simple matters gone unabated, and unfortunately preferential treatment extended, of which I can prove, thereby the appeal may include such. It has to do with the entity called Honolulu Liquor Commission. So if I could defer at this time, prior to providing the testimony, if the staff at the with the Honolulu Ethics Commission recommends that they're currently investigating or the appeal is still in the works, I'm sorry, I need a little guidance, please.
Well, I think that it's inappropriate for us to, Commissioner, I mean, the executive director could remind me and other commissioners to discuss any nature of formative procedure pertaining to your complaint. I imagine that I must ask you to, after the meeting, to take this up directly with members of the Ethics Commission staff, because I don't believe it is the role of the commission to notify you of what the procedure is, what process your case is within the complaint system, or whether you are having an appeal and what the process of having the appeal of. Again, that is subject to the ethical rules of procedure. And I think that inquiry needs to be brought with the executive director and or staff members. Would that satisfy you?
It would. Unfortunately, I don't get any communication from the executive director. I don't get emails returned. I don't get phone calls returned. And so to continue on, to not take up your time, I'll be very brief then. I'll just advance my concern. Albeit it's multifaceted, just for the purposes of this meeting, I'm going to just focus on one violation. So it's pertaining to Hawaii revised statutes. It's liquor laws for the state of Hawaii, HRS 281-3 and 281-85. So if I can just continue, I'm going to explain to you that on November 20, 2023, I filed a complaint with the Honolulu Liquor Commission that an entity called the Mauka Warriors Luau, of which does not have a liquor license in the state of Hawaii to sell, advertise, and collect payment for alcohol, was engaged in doing such, and that is the violation of 281-3. Subsequently, for HRS 281-85, and also within the rules of the Liquor Commission, it is unallowed. You can't use inducement, premium gifts, souvenirs, coupons. Drink coupons are not allowed. So when a licensee sells, they have to abide by Chapter 244D, as in dog, and use a POS system to record the a gallon of gross liquor sales. So when tickets are used, drink coupons are used. That was my complaint on November 20th of 2023. So the Liquor Commission went 5 times to investigate, and all 5 times said there was some advertising of alcohol and free complimentary Mai Tais using a ticket, but it ceased, and that communication came in October of 2024. I immediately contacted the Honolulu Ethics Commission. That was an untruthful statement. Somebody is covering up liquor tax fraud. That's why I also filed complaints with the Hawaii Department of Taxation Special Enforcement Section and got a case number. So what we have here is that I've tried to get the Honolulu Ethics Commission to take heed and simply themselves go to www.makowarriorsluau.com, and you could today go to that website and you could click on the Mo'i package and you can see complimentary Mai Tai, which is alcohol, and on the website tell you get 3 drink tickets, of which can be redeemed for beverages containing alcohol. So here we have a licensed, unlicensed, unable to advertise and sell alcohol for going over 2 years now. So to be specific in my complaint, I provided guidance to the Honolulu Ethics Commission that the chief inspector named Seth Neary is the one who was violated by rather giving preferential treatment in violation to Article 11, Standards Code of Conduct, Section 11-104, preferential treatment. So the abuse and violation of the public's best interest is Mr. Seth Neary has not enforced, one, Mako Warriors Luau for 2 years now, selling alcohol online, collecting payment, and not paying the liquor tax. 2, use of drink coupons that you as commissioners could right now see for yourself. But for some reason, the executive director won't respond to me, won't return my calls. Staff there actually wrote a letter and put in writing, Mr. Berg, May 2nd, 2025. In that letter says, Mr. Berg, summarizing, there are no drink coupons being
Hey,
issued.
Mr.
There
Mr.
are
Berg.
no coupons being issued for
Mr. Berg.
beverages containing
Hi,
alcohol.
Mr. Berg.
Yeah.
Mr. Berg, Mr. Berg, you can't see me, but nonetheless, you can hear me. I think you've gone over the allotted 3 minutes. We gave you a little bit more time. I'll
Thank
give
you
you
for that.
maybe 10 seconds to wrap it up. Why don't you do that? And then we need to go on to other business, please. You got 10
Yeah, so
seconds.
thank you. So I have an 8-page document that I sent the Ethics Commission, and unfortunately I couldn't make copies and get it to you there today. But just to let you know, your staff has my testimony, and anything I can do to get you all the documentation there that what we have is unenforcement by preferential treatment to allow entities to sell alcohol in violation to the state liquor tax law with impunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Berg. I think the problem with this testimony is that it is not specific on the item of the agenda. I know it's generic, but it's not specific to any item that we're taking up on this particular agenda, and it is pertaining to confidential information about disclosure of names and the processes that, are covered by the ROH 3-610A1. And more importantly, the ethical rules of procedure kind of dictate that this is a process that must be taken up with the executive director and staff. And I know you asked and told us that you have some issues, so we're going to urge that the staff reach out back to you on this issue to try to see if they can answer your questions without violating any of the ethical rules and procedures or ROH 3-610A1. So with
appreciated.
that, just your testimony is ended, but nonetheless, I must turn it over to the commission members who, if anybody wants to say anything pursuant to his testimony, please let me know. With that, Mr. Berg, thank you so very much for your time. We appreciate your participation and we appreciate your time that you spent coming here and first of all, going on WebEx and giving and expressing your opinion. So I'm sure someone will be back with you to satisfy your inquiry. Thank you very much, Mr. Berg.
Thank you for that. Well, thank you for putting me at the front of the line. Appreciate it very much. Mahalo.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Mr. Berg. Next, let's go to the new business, which is the chair's report, announcements, introductions, and correspondence and additional distribution. I don't have one right now. I can talk about it during the course of the agenda, but the most important part of today is to celebrate and recognize the tremendous service that Commissioner Peter Adler has performed on his 10-year term. I can express that, wow, none of us have spent our 10 years here.
Yeah.
Vice Chair, gonna be close to that, but we're gonna have a celebration, and I'd like to turn this over to Vice Chairman David Muff for the presentation.
Sure, well, As the only person on the commission with a tenure close to Peter Adler's, I'm not sure everybody, other than the two of us, recognizes, besides our executive director and some of the staff, that Peter was one of the drafters of the strategic plan, which was just coming into its final form when I joined the commission 8 years ago. 8 years ago. And looking back on that, we've had to defer the review and update of that plan that was agendaed some time ago for reasons beyond our control. But I just want to say that the execution of that plan has brought us to a much better place than where we were when I joined the commission in 2017 and when Peter joined sometime shortly before that. A lot of it is thanks to his efforts and his work to create that plan and to shepherd it into execution. And ever since then, Peter's been a stalwart on the commission. I think personally, I don't see how I could have managed to get along without your help and support, advice, and participation all this time. And we do have a certificate from the mayor, which is very brief. It simply says, Mayor's Award of Recognition, Peter S. Adler, Honolulu Ethics Commission, in appreciation of your more than 9 years of dedicated service and commitment to the city and county of Honolulu as a commissioner on the Honolulu Ethics Commission, done this 17th day of December, et cetera, signed by Mayor Blangiardi. It doesn't go nearly far enough to express the gratitude I personally feel for.
It's been a party.
And by the way, we always feared in the top of that frame, because the mayor's office just supplied the certificate, so we wanted something you could hang on the wall rather than throw in the drawer.
Thank you, everybody.
And Peter, Commissioner Adler, you have been an inspiration to all of us, especially to me.
Shorter is better, I'm just. Thank you all, and
But if anybody would like to say anything afterwards. That's personal.
good, nobody. Oh, you are, thank you.
May I say something on behalf of staff?
Sure.
The staff cannot thank you enough for all the years of your support and generosity and of your time and your knowledge. We have very much enjoyed working with you over these years, and thank you so much for your leadership. It's going to be different not having you around, so, happy holidays to you and best wishes and whatever
my
your
phone?
other future endeavors are.
Thank you, everybody. Just, the commission's been important. It's such an important function for the city and county and for the state more broadly. So I just commend everybody. I know it's tough. We've had tough times and good times. And I just thank everybody's staff, especially the staff, which are on the line in that little ghetto over there. So, commend you for living in that thing. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
About commissioner conduct.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
So I'd like to ask, after we adjourn today, if I could just have a couple of minutes with my fellow commissioners in regard to the upcoming celebration of life for the late husband of our former commissioner colleague, Lynette Tom Condon. I won't get into it during. We are, I'll just say that we are, I've taken the initiative to order a floral display for that service, paid for it myself, and I will invite anybody who wants to voluntarily support that to contribute if they wish, no pressure whatsoever. I'll leave it until after the meeting.
Thank you, thank you. We also have some other things to attend to after the meeting, more personal to Commissioner Adler. Moving on. Moving on. For action is the approval of the open session minutes of September 17, 2025. And first of all, I'd like to ask if there are any corrections to those minutes. Not hearing any, do we have any motion to approve the minutes of open session September 17, 2025?
So moved.
Thank you. Any seconds?
Second,
Is there any opposition to this? Hearing no opposition, the open session minutes of September 17, 2025 is hereby approved. Next, for action is the approval of the open session minutes of October 15, 2025. Are there any revisions, additions that any commissioner would like to make? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. The open session minutes of October 15, 2025 has been moved for approval and seconded. Is there any opposition? Not hearing none, the approval of the open session minutes of October 15, 2025 is hereby approved. Next is for discussion
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
no problem. Next for a discussion is the ethical guidelines for artificial intelligence usage in the city and county of Honolulu. And this was an issue that was brought to my attention by several commissioners, including Commissioner Fukunaga and Commissioner Rice. So given that situation,
I can provide a brief report.
sure, that'd be
So
great.
shortly after the last meeting, I did reach out to administration on this issue as the commission was exercising or interested in finding out what the city's policy might be. I spoke with the Department of Information Technology, and they said that they were actually in the process of creating such a policy with the Chief Data Officer, which is a position that is part of the mayor's office. So they're in the process of creating such a policy. We've also been following the Charter Commission, and I understand that there are proposals that are directed to the use of artificial intelligence in the city as well. The Charter Commission has only started its meetings, so I think anything that clear, and we'll have a larger discussion of the Charter Commission later on in the meeting. But any proposals that make it through that process would be on the November ballot. They have not yet heard any of the artificial intelligence proposals that came out of that process. But that's as much as I know. I suspect that if anything does manage to make the ballot as a charter amendment, it may cause the managing director's office, chief data officer, and the Department of Information Technology to rethink whatever their policy is going to be. But they were still in the process of developing that policy.
So did they give you any timetable as to when they would have?
They did not. It sounded like they had just begun the process of development, so it might be a little while before they actually complete it. And now with the wrinkle of a potential charter amendment, that may also throw some wrench into the timeframe.
Would anybody like to make a comment? Commissioner Fukunaga?
So in the civil week today, or yesterday, the final report of the Joint Hawaii State Bar Judiciary Artificial Intelligence Guidelines was referred to. And that's the one we worked on for 2 years. I'm one of the bar representatives. So that report defaults to using the ethics guidelines for attorneys as the guidance to be used by attorneys when filing documents with the court, instead of creating new rules and regulations on the use of artificial intelligence. So that was a recognition by the committee, and there had a lot of meetings, that why not just use the existing ethical rules, which say, among other things, you have to be truthful to the court. In other words, you can't submit a fake AI citation to the court, and so forth. So rather than create new guidelines, the report, over 40 pages long, refers simply to the existing ethics guidelines, which makes it much easier than creating, because the position I took with the committee is that AI is proceeding so rapidly, you cannot refer to the technological issue, which is generative AI right now. But there's a new program being used called diffusion. So you just can't refer to the actual technical issue without being out of date tomorrow. And then you have to go through the whole thing again, right?
Yeah.
So rather than defining what the program is about, we simply use existing ethics guidelines to say that you submit a pleading to the court, verifying that you created it, you checked it, and it's true. And if it's not, then the court has Rule 11, the Rules of Civil Procedure, to use to fine you or hold a contempt hearing. And the judge has inherent power, he won't do this, I think, to put you in jail. So there's already an existing mechanism, and maybe that's the way, county should look at it.
Mhm.
Because there's just no way to be up to date. So anyway, that's what the judges and the attorneys are doing.
Anybody else, Ms. Rice? Yeah, you're looking.
No, I'm thinking about whether I should or shouldn't. My 2 cents in. This is a fine line. There's only one good legal AI program that sells for $400 a year that I know of, that where their attorneys have said it's satisfactory. The fine line is that, as Commissioner Fukunaga expressed, the exponential speed of AI development is for many frightening. When quantum chips are introduced in this next year, it will even be more. Not only now does AI contain the intelligence of more than 8 billion people on the planet, but there will be other sources that will be accessed. And I think, and I'm hoping that the city does take this very seriously, because it's really all up to us. Humans have got to be able to control the parameters of AI usage. I don't believe that AI is going to kill us all and take over the world. That, I know a lot of people are worried about that. That is not a concern of mine. What is a concern of mine is that there's about 6 or 7, less than 10 people who control AI, thereby controlling all the information that any one person will ever receive. That is my greatest concern, is that we no longer have freedom of information. That's where justice has to step in and take a very important position of balance. I'm writing right now about this, and of course I have 2 books out about AI, and I've got 2 more coming. It's a deal, and you're right, it is so fast. By tomorrow, something new will be coming out. I have my own AI, I can create my own AI, every one of us can. And that will eventually be what will happen. But the data banks and the data resources are what we will still have to rely on and pay for, even if we have our own AI. The deal is that all governments around the world must come to a uniform policy, or it's all going to go to hell. Getting that to happen will in itself be quite miraculous.
Just a question. It'd be interesting, maybe now is not the day to do it, but at some point when this is matured a little bit further, is to really think through what does this mean for the commission and the jurisdictions that we have. We have specific jurisdictions. We're not able to do everything we might want to do personally, but it'd be interesting to figure out, put the finger in the wind and say, what does it mean coming down the pike?
And I would concur that I think it's important that the commission and staff have a policy framed and in print that is a policy for how AI will be used in the commission. I had this discussion with the city as well. There needs to be parameters for how city and county employees utilize AI in whatever programs they're developing or whatever legalities they're considering, because there's got to be definition. That's what there has to be. So we're all facing this, every government, every group. I'm at the disposal of the staff. If anybody needs my particular qualification or brain power on this one, But yeah, I think that the city will be developing a policy, which will be a mandate for us. But further to that, I think every commission, public board, and office needs an internal structure so that employees can access that structure without question and without confusion.
Anyone?
Yeah, Commissioner Fukunaga's example that he gave us is a specialized one that applies to a narrow subset of local and state government. But I would hope that the city, in considering what it's doing, also considers whether there already exist general rules, generally applicable rules that could cover these situations without having to invent the wheel all over again. I kind of doubt it personally. There's something that's that ready to hand, but I'm hoping that they at least are considering.
My understanding is that they have pulled together resources from the city, the data officer, the information technology department. I believe Corporation Counsel is providing legal guidance as well. It kind of reminds us of the situation where we were asked about whether or not there was an ethical policy for social media back in the day when social media was starting to version. The Department of Human Resources came up with a policy that kind of covered all agencies in their work. And so we followed the Department of Human Resources policy because it does cover the entire city. Our thought is that this policy that will be developed by these folks that I've stated will likely be a similar kind of mandate, that an umbrella type of policy that will cover the city. Internally in our office, we are very interested in using it, but we shy away because of the nature of the confidentiality of our work. And we do not want anybody else to know or learn from whatever documents or information we have that goes into the system.
Right.
I've heard just, piecemeal from various people that the city is using AI. There are agencies, I think HPD actually is using it. The
Yes.
Department of Planning and Permitting is also using it. And I think fire may have a use for it as well. So there are agencies that are already experimenting with how to use it and whether or not they should generate reports, for example. I think HPD is looking at report writing using AI. So the city is moving, the different agencies they seem to be all moving in their own direction at this point. And perhaps when this overarching policy is developed and implemented, it will bring everybody more into line with what is an appropriate use from the city's point of view.
One more on the privacy issue,
Yes.
massive litigation with, I think, ChatGPT. There's discovery going on in that case where it turns out ChatGPT kept billions of outputs that were generated by people asking about their healthcare and so forth. And so a smaller subset is being produced in that case in part of discovery, of about 10 million outputs and prompts. And whether ChatGPT told people they kept it or not, doesn't matter because it exists.
It's there.
And so anyway, I wanted to let you know, I attended a seminar at COGO specifically on AI. And we were provided, and I do have the demonstration by the Montana Ethics Department as to how they're creating AI. And I do have a presentation by MapLight that they gave to me to give to my son at HPD, who is going to go into the format and to actually go into having AI summarize reports. The danger is when you use when you don't use MapLight or any formats, any of the platforms like Gemini, Copilot, Claude, Meta AI, ChatGPT, their entire reason for existing is to extract data and to put it into the public disclosure land. So what happens is that the HPD is now probably, agencies like that are trying to determine, well, when can we have our employees use ChatGPT to summarize records? And the simple answer is this: it cannot be done either externally or internally without going through a third party such as MapLight, because they have to formulate what we call a glass box to ensure that there is actual security data protection by anybody utilizing any of these platforms within or without the city. Because once it gets out there, it is no longer confidential. More importantly, the cost, the Campaign Spending Commission has launched an AI, and I've been talking to the Campaign Spending Commission director, and they're gonna have this up next year. And they're summarizing a huge amount of documents, and it becomes an interactive website whereby you just type in your query, and by actually inputting all of the data, the query will automatically, through artificial intelligence, answer your query. But it does need tweaking, and it takes a tremendous amount of time, and it takes a tremendous amount of capital, and ranging anywhere from $25,000 to $40,000. That's what it takes for a third-party entity to come out and form what they call this glass box data security program. So I'm sure that all of this will be ongoing, and after the meeting is over, I'm going to give you, you should see something I'm giving my son, because HPD is interested in, which is actually how MapLight formatted this for the Montana Ethics Commission. So
Can you share their report with us? Their
it's on the video,
Okay.
but I can share it with you. It's there, and I will provide it more, but this goes to, unfortunately, has to go to the agency that asked for this request. I'm just the conduit,
Delivery.
delivery boy.
May I just add so that everybody understands, there is nothing secure about AI or anything we do on our computers with any company, regardless whether it's an AI platform or not. Data collection is a major purpose of the companies that created AI. Everything is being tracked. You have no longer any privacy. Everything you do is being tracked. Now, if that doesn't bother you, that's fine. But if it does bother you, just know that there are much deeper implications to this. And nothing is secure, and don't put your personal information into AI unless you are willing to risk the fact that it can be hacked. And never use Grok. Thank you.
Well, that's not one of the premier.
No,
sites.
never use Grok.
Does anybody else have any comments before we leave this issue? I don't believe there's any motion pending, or we'll take this up in louder discussion when it becomes to more fruition as far as what the mayor's policies are going to be. But I can say a lot of agencies have already thrown their hat into this Montana Campaign Spending Commission. Everybody's, so we're going to be able to find out exactly how it works. The next issue for action is the election of officers. Okay. So, first of all, there's two officers that need to get elected. That's the chair and the vice chair. So at this time, we'll just take the chair, the election of the chair, and we're open to nominations at this time for next year. Yeah.
I nominate the current chair, Shelton Jimon.
Second.
Third, really quick, Ken.
Third.
Third. Are there any more nominations? And anybody? Okay, well, I can't do the voting because obviously I can't have the voting on myself, but I'm gonna allow Vice Chair Monk to handle the voting process with respect to the election of the vice chair. The chair rather, sorry. Correct.
Okay, so we have a single nomination and second for chair, current chair Shelton Jimon. Any discussion before we vote?
Yeah, just one, that it is my fondest wish and deadline, and being my fondest wish that this is a 2-year position. That is 2 years, and that somebody else has to take out, have to experience this, because that's how we grow as a commission, to have more people being chairs, just like going to the COBO conference. I'm saying every single commissioner needs to be going to this COBO conference, and it can't be the chair. I explained to COBO, I'm not coming back. Unlike the state ethics commission, you guys go, but everybody has to go. Everybody, and I hope that every commission will go. So like the election of the chair, it will be a commitment for 1 year, and that is all.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Jump off.
But in the meantime, for the calendar year 2026, I'm going to take a roll call vote and ask each commissioner to either vote in favor, against, or abstain. Commissioner Martell,
In favor.
Commissioner Fukunaga,
In favor.
Commissioner Rice,
I,
Commissioner Adler,
Aye.
and then Vice Chair also votes aye. So it's unanimous. Congratulations.
I abstain. Thank you.
It's unanimous with one abstention.
Thank you for your confidence. Hope I can carry it through this year and next year. Now is the election of the vice chair. And I'd like to entertain any nominations for the vice chair.
I'd like to nominate David Lund.
That's my
Second.
choice.
I need a second.
There's a second. There's a nomination, David Monk, and a second. I'd like to take a roll call as to who would, as to a nomination of David Monk, and allow him a chance to speak or any remarks before.
I wouldn't do
Yeah.
It's like, why nominate?
I leave it up to.
Thank you for your confidence. I appreciate that.
Okay, you can make your remarks after. Commissioner Martell,
In favor.
Commissioner Fukunaga,
Yes.
Commissioner Rice, and Commissioner Adler, and myself,
And Monk abstains.
and Mike, as it should be. So we have a somewhat unanimous vote for Vice Chair Monk.
Well
Thank
done,
you.
guys. Well done.
Thank you very much for staying one more year and helping out the chair as you usually do. I really appreciate that because sometimes I'm just lost in the woods. But thank you very much. Next, we'll go on to the Executive Director and the Legal Counsel's report, please.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We are, we've been busy. You'll see the work report summary in your meeting materials. I'm starting with slide 7. I wanted to also bring up on item 2B1B, the Americans with Disabilities Act compliance. This is going to be a standing item until we hit that deadline in April. It has turned into a rather enormous staff resource intensive piece of work. I think I've already mentioned that everything on our website does need to be in ADA compliance by April 24th, 2026. As you know, we have over 450 advisory opinions published to our website, all of which are considered ongoing research items, all of which must be converted into a readable means by someone who might be sight impaired. All of our outreach materials, and I know training specialist Al Yagi is working with the newsletters, the other outreach materials, the videos, the video trainings, the other sessions that we have posted, slides that we've posted. You will see changes to our website, and I wanted to reiterate this on an ongoing basis because some of the functions and functionality of the website will change. We're starting to bump into issues relating to how to best achieve compliance, and in some cases, there are widgets and other things on our website that are not conducive to that compliance. So we apologize in advance, but we are going to have to change up some of the website. If you go onto the website or even some of the materials for the meetings, they will change slightly because of the nature of all of the meeting materials now have to be ADA compliant. All of the, including the ELC report, any attachments. If we send you information, say relating to COGL, for example, we may not include them in the meeting materials only because if we do, then we would have to be responsible for COGL's materials being ADA compliant because it goes onto our website. It's a bit of a caboose, you know, with a train and everything. But what ends up happening is that if we put anything on our website from a third party, we are going to have to ensure that that item is ADA compliant. It creates a bit of a morass for us, and a small office like ours, it's turning out to be rather labor intensive on a going forward basis. So even if we do everything, the historical AOs that are already published, we still have to do it for every piece of material that goes up there on an ongoing or going forward basis. So we are having to rethink some of our materials for the meetings, some of the things that we post, the manner in which we've described some of the information. It is going to be a bit of a challenge, so bear with us. I think right now, we had a ADA meeting the other day, and I think we have a staff meeting just before that. Maybe 2 people left, and everybody else stayed on for the ADA meeting. So it has sucked down the resources of almost the entire office, just to keep you apprised of the kind of labor and hours that we're going into making this April deadline. We actually feel like we're in a pretty good place. We have a soft deadline for ourselves at the end of January, sort of beginning of February, to see if we can kind of get there so that we don't hit an avalanche in March and April. We are working with the city's Equal Opportunity Office, the ADA compliance manager over there. And she has been of great help to us in terms of walking through some of these issues, finding out how best to achieve these things. In some cases, we're also balancing things with the Office of Information Practices because we want to ensure that we remain compliant with them as well as achieve ADA compliance. So bear with us. We will give you a green signal when we're, I think we have a under construction notice on our website right now, just to kind of give everybody the heads up that there will be changes that are coming. So thank you for bearing with us during this project.
Mr. Chairman, I have 2 questions.
Commissioner Fukunaga?
So this compliance issue applies to all the city websites and all the
Yes.
state websites?
Yes, that's correct.
And what, you self-certify, you comply, or somebody comes in and does an audit?
Nobody has said anything about an audit or self-certification, although I believe if anybody who is sight impaired or otherwise impaired goes onto a website and determines that they cannot access adequately the content on your website, then I believe they can file a complaint. Yes, please.
So, we're really more concerned with compliance at this point, so I haven't gotten as far as what the potential penalties are. But generally speaking, ADA can be enforced by any private party who's not, doesn't have reasonable access, so they can bring a private action, So I don't know if that's the case with this website compliance as well. I think DOJ has some enforcement authority. Please don't quote me on that, but they're the people that issued the rules and the guidance on it that we're
Yeah,
going
so
to.
my question is more, how does the city know they're all compliant?
We don't till we get,
Bombed,
In a lawsuit, is that how we find out?
when Stan Levin calls.
Yeah, it's been a very,
Well, there
honestly,
must be, some metric, right? that
One would-
We're all compliant.
one would think so,
But there isn't.
well, not at this point. We haven't been notified as to when. The way the city is going about it is agency by agency. They've told all the agencies that by this date you must be compliant. And that's about all the resources and support. And I'm looking around at staff. That's about all the resources and support that we've received about gaining or achieving compliance. We believe that we're ahead of the game because we've already started and completed many of the AOs, not all of them, but we're probably done maybe 300 of those, as well as all the training stuff I think is already. She's thinking forward in terms of how to make ADA compliant materials on a going forward basis. So we don't have to go back and, do this again.
and all the, in terms of metrics or what we're supposed to meet to make it compliant, all we can really rely on is the Department of Justice's guidance on their rules that they just implemented that will go into effect in April. I think the city and county has put on one seminar, training seminar, for not the law, but the nuts and bolts of how to do this, but they might not cover everything. And I think, this is a issue that it's, it's also been covered. We've also been offered trainings, not through the city, but the city has indicated that there's this other training that's available. And I think our staff attended that as well. So we've tried to use every resource we can in terms of how we get there. What does it mean when the rules say this, for our videos? What, that kind of, so an EOO office is working.
This is just out of curiosity, but what disabilities are actually the hardest to accommodate in the revisions? Unless I'm asking an inappropriate question.
No, it's, this particular project has to do with website accessibility. So we're typically talking about sight impaired
Yeah.
individuals. I don't know if you ever watch, you know, some streaming videos and turn on your closed caption. I do when there's a very heavy Cockney accent or something that's difficult to understand. All of our materials, the training videos, and I'll let you, you know, elaborate after this, are gonna have to have those kinds of captions beneath it so that a sight impaired person,
Hearing impaired.
I mean, a hearing impaired person could still access the video content. For sight impairment, it would have to be a video, it would have to read.
Audio.
So, right, so that they can audibly hear it as opposed to visibly see it. Do you have anything to elaborate on this?
That basically covers it. I mean, someone, most likely me, will have to go in and make sure that all of the closed captions are correct. You know, we do have a lot of Hawaiian words in our videos, and with auto translation, it doesn't pick it up as well. It misspells it. It tries its best, but you know, we would have to go and correct that.
Commissioner Rice?
Oh, did you had your hand up
Oh,
first?
I'm sorry. Who wants to go first? Anybody?
Well, I just was going to recommend that there are animation bots that you can use for American Sign Language. So that for audio impaired, they can be seeing the screen with someone signing what's also visually seen, because not everybody is literate, but deaf who grow up deaf usually know American Sign Language. Just a thought to maybe
That's a good one.
just
Good one.
check into it.
And maybe AI will do that. Sorry.
It is AI.
It is
AI does it, yeah.
It is AI. Everything is a bot.
Before, Commissioner Gunaga, did you want to say something?
So just to expand on what Kirsten, you know, training specialist Aoyagi and executive director Yamani were saying to answer your question, it's also things like for video or even PDFs. Videos, you have to have descriptive caption, like when it goes whoosh, and you have to say whoosh.
Yeah.
You have to identify the speaker. We have very
Yeah.
difficult to spell names. Someone has to go through the whole thing and retype in the correct captions, like, oh, the wind, oh, the light changed, or things of that nature. For PDFs, say, for example, if we didn't change the executive director's report, someone would have to go in to each PDF and show that wheel pie of, when there's a chart and, so it's not as simple as clicking a button. It's a lot of work. So,
Right down to font size.
Yes.
Yeah.
and
I didn't
color
know.
contrast.
So I had to learn it.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh. So
Yeah.
I don't envy you. It's a very detail-oriented task.
So like Jan said, that's why we're trying to pare down some of, things that will be on the website and, what is or how the reports are.
It is going to impact some of the graphics in our newsletters going forward. And that's part of the appeal of the newsletters, but if they are not or difficult to make ADA accessible, we are going to have to work on the graphics so that they are not only appealing, but also ADA accessible.
Have you reached out to other commissions in other states or around the world even that are already further advanced with their compliance than we are, and just see what can be duplicated?
We're trying to reach out to any agency that is in the same boat that we are. Small agency, how did you do it?
Yeah.
What's the easiest way to get there?
Great.
Yeah.
What are the time parameters?
Well, April 24th, 2026 is the drop dead. That's the compliance date. You must be compliant by then. I think we started this project probably in the beginning of the summer, when we first sort of got the heads up that there would be this out in April deadline. We did a lot of training between then and the fall. I think we've probably sat in on 4 or 5, maybe 6 video types of sessions on training. Mara, the assistant executive director, has been summarizing the law to kind of a table so that we can easily check which is this, can we archive this? Do we have to consider it a live research item, or what category does it fall into? And then we began in earnest in the fall after a lot of those trainings to try and start to, we've divided up the website into various responsibilities, and different staff have taken on those responsibilities. Leland, of course, logically has all of the meetings and the meeting materials. We are trying to, figure out how to do the recordings at this point. I understand they also must be closed captioned of these meetings. Logically, the training specialist has all of the training materials, outreach materials, those kind, and so on and so forth. And we've divvied it up. The biggest piece has been, of course, the advisory opinions because of the sheer number. There are easy ones there that are just kind of text, with not a lot going on. Then there are ones that have endnotes, footnotes, diagrams, other kinds of graphs, or other things going on in them that are a little unusual. So when you're talking 450 plus of those, it's a mountain of, it's a huge piece of work, no matter how easy they may be. So it's taken a lot of staff resources.
Can I recommend that you check out Gallaudet University in Washington DC for their resources?
Okay, great, thank you.
Is there any need, I'm sorry, what somebody saying it? Go ahead.
So my daughter's a deputy director in Indiana for records management. So they're beginning to convert all audio from administrative hearing to text. And this is an enormous
Oh my
task.
goodness, that is,
Because it creates a burden of verification.
yes.
Because you just, as you know, you just cannot send it through the AI and get text. Somebody has to verify that's accurate and true, because someone's got to sign that, right, transcript. So she said they've been going through vendors like crazy, trying to get somebody who's accurate. But it's taking an enormous amount of administrative effort on the records management part. Because they're under, it must be part of this whole thing, because they're under directions to convert all administrative hearing audio in the world. And we're talking a lot of audio.
That's a lot.
And, yeah, my
We
point
feel
was,
their pain.
my point is, I don't know what I wanted to raise was, do you think that there's a possibility you may need or maybe use resources that are within your budget to complete this task in more months?
We are making some headway. There was the suggestion by the Department of Information Technology that those of you departments who have resources can hire a vendor to do this. We are not one of those agencies that has a deep pocket to hire vendors. So we're trying to get ahead of the deadline by starting earlier. I don't think a lot of the other agencies have started this early. But we're thinking that if we give ourselves enough time and then we go into the filing period, which is also a bit of a challenge because our busiest period is between the middle of December and the end of January. So if we can front load as much of this work as possible, pick it up again, or bits and pieces of it during the filing period, we should be able to make that April deadline.
Well, a lot of agencies are doing this. I'm sure that they have vendors with because they have bigger pockets, but maybe you could use a little cost sharing to that extent, or maybe finding out who are they using, so you can get maybe some informal advice. But I would suggest that you go into these agencies are probably scrambling at this point, finding out if they do have a vendor, who they're using, how much it costs, and whether or not we can do a ride along, meaning that you don't have to pay anything.
Yeah.
Is the state doing this too?
The state has.
State has to, yeah.
Everybody has to.
And then the other counties?
Across the US.
Yeah, everybody has to. It's a
What
federal
is the partnering possibility?
Yeah, and the issue for us is that because it's a federal mandate, it's not a movable date.
Yeah.
The deadline is set. So with that in mind, we've undertaken this project.
What happens if you don't meet the demo? Go to jail?
I guess try to meet it as best you can.
I think there are fines, and I think on that particular day, you're gonna have a lot of attorneys, because they get
Sifting
require
through.
ADA in terms of physical compliance, looking at everything,
A lawyer forced
searching
them to
everything,
act.
and finding a way to make more money.
Yeah, we are one of the smallest agencies in the city. We just happen to have a very, very dense website. There are some agencies in the city that do not have dense websites. And for them, it's going to be kind of easy peasy, it's not going to be a big burden. And then there are others that have, I'm thinking of Parks and Recreation, for example. If you've ever been on their website, they have chocker full of information on there, as well as programs to sign up for this and that, permitting, all of that. they are going to have a real challenge on their hands. We're told that our our online filing applications, so that would be for lobbyists and for financial disclosures, because they were built by our city Department of Information Technology, we are told that those sites are in fact ADA compliant. And then the few things that we do run through our design and print shop, which is part of the customer services department, we understand they are responsible to make those materials ADA compliant.
So there's checks.
Yeah, so there's some things that, you know, we are not having to do because we're relying on other agencies to do them. But the online filing applications is tricky because at least for both of them, for the lobbyists, that table that goes onto our website is auto-populated from the application. And then the public filings that go onto the city clerk's site for financial disclosures, that one is also auto-populated by the application. So it's not only just the use of the application, it's whatever it auto-populates after that onto the websites.
Can I add?
Yeah.
So without, knowing that this would be the result, I think the foresight of the commission and the executive director and the staff here to put all these applications online has really helped, in addition to, managing and administering, but this is one of the benefits of having that online registration and filing.
Thank you. I think I to continue with your report.
Thank you. I'll proceed. On to slide 8. We did complete our recruitment of our associate legal counsel, and she is here today. Ms. Rainey Nakamura Watanabe, the longest last name I've ever seen.
I apologize.
We were very fortunate that we managed to be able to get her travel approvals before she traveled, and she actually went to Kogel within the first week of her arrival at our agency, and I'd welcome her to say a few things and to introduce herself to the commission.
Morning, everyone. My name is Rain Nakamura Watanabe. Again, longest last name ever. 2 Japanese last names, very long. I apologize. So good to be here. Like Jan said, I kind of hit the ground running. I was so excited to hear that my travel got approved, and I was able to go to Kogel with Chair and Elmira. So it was such an honor and such a good informational tool for me. I really, really enjoyed it. Unlike Chair, I would actually like to go again. Being selfish, I learned so much in that first week. It was just invaluable information. So, for me starting as a new ALC, it's just, boosted me up, I think, in terms of, the background, the foundation and everything else, the networking. So it was awesome. But I look forward to working with all of you. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
We get it.
Yeah, next week.
The other thing is, it's not on the agenda, but I wanted to just note that I believe she reached out to some of you. We lost our administrative specialist just on Monday, Erin Tamashiro. She has gone to another position. So we will begin recruiting for that admin specialist position as soon as we're able. It is a very important position for us because we have come to the point where we can kind of stand alone from Corporation Counsel. The only problem right now is that Corporation Counsel does not have an administrative services officer, and now we have lost our administrative specialist. So both agencies and, at the department level are without an administrative services officer. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. We are reaching out to other agencies to see if we can't get some support as we go into the budget cycle. So that is going to be a bit of a challenge for us. I'll move on to slide 9, which is the statistics. They are there for your review. On slide 10, the concern forms are also there for your review. This time of the year, we tend to get a little quiet and a little slow, only because with the holidays, there are lots of employees and others out on vacation and taking mandatory leave before they use or lose at the end of the year. So you'll see that there's typically a little bit of a dip in these numbers, November and December. You'll see on slide 11, the investigations, the active as well as the closed investigations. And then moving on to slide 12, I'll pass that on to Training Special Bella Palyagi for her report.
Good afternoon, everyone. To get started, we had our last pop-up event of the year at the Foxy Municipal Building. 27 people stopped by, and of those, 21 played our game. I think all of our plants were taken away, so
I think so.
very nice. Moving on to slide 13, we released our backup pay stubs. This was the part 2 of our October edition. And this one was released on October 31st. Safe or spoiled, the gift potion revealed. I think a lot of people actually really like this one, so great idea for next year. And then our last newsletter of the year, our ethics wrap. This one, we just kind of go over what we accomplished throughout this year. And that is all that I have to report. The newsletters are in your meeting materials.
I wanted to draw everyone's attention to the Ethics Wrapped 2025. There was a laundry list there of about 11 items, pop-up events, newsletters, other kinds of things that we've done over the year. It is important to the extent that there are so many items on this list. And that is, largely the responsibility of training specialist Aoyagi, as well as the outreach and education team, which consists of all the attorneys in the office. So these things, before we had a training specialist, the attorneys used to do the best they could to come up with content for newsletters and work with the design and print shop. With having our training specialists in-house, I think the development and the body of work has grown dramatically for a small office like ours to put out so many events and newsletters over the year. We have the new trainings also, the new board and commission videos, as well as the NEO video, the new employee orientation. There's been a lot of new content out this year, and so I really wanted to thank the attorneys for their support of the team throughout the year, as well as our training specialist for being kind of at the, carrying the banner in the front of the line. So thank you so much to the team. Let's see, we'll move on to slide 14, the COCA Connects and blogs. These are just notices. I think we've already shared with you the events. Georgia in Focus was regarding election issues. The COCA conference, of course, there was a preview for that. And then on slide 15, I wanted actually to turn this over to those of the commission and the staff who attended. So Chair Jamon, Assistant Executive Director Sang, and new welcome Associate Legal Counsel Nakamura Watanabe for their impressions and feedback on the conference.
I'll start off. I thought it was great. I mean, I hope that every commission and I will get a chance to attend this. And I even thought about asking for a budget because of more than one commission. However, I think I was informed that there may be a policy of only one. But nonetheless, I am making a query with the mayor's office to see if this is a policy set in stone, because the other commissions, campaign spending, state ethics, they sent a whole bunch of other people there. And this is how important and relevant they thought the annual conference was. It is Office of Information Practices, which, just had a short couple subjects, was there with 2 people. So for us to be there with 3 people was really a good thing, but I'm hoping that they will, I'm asking and inquiring with the mayor's office whether we could be budgeted for more. And I'll report back to you if they say yes. The things I learned in Kogel are that next year it will be in Denver. The following year, it will be in Vancouver. Nice. Somebody gets to go to Vancouver. The following year, it will be in Washington, DC. So they have those 3. I don't know of any others, just those 3 coming up. Yeah, those are the 3 coming up. So, book your trip, and, I think it's important. And if I go, it will be on my dime. There's a lot of things I learned. I'll be brief because I've already expounded on them. AI was one of them. I've already talked to you about what AI. They are now, I think most of the agencies have a succession plan. meaning when the executive director retires, resigns, or something happens, who then by default gets to be the next one up. And we took a slight recess to fix a connection problem. And we're back online.
And I think we were in the middle of
My discussion.
reporting.
Right, and my additional report besides what I've mentioned is that other things that they enlightened us on, that other commissions are doing, especially ethics, are that when they are offboarding, meaning terminating of employees, they're now providing them with handouts. They gave me a copy of the handout to remind them on what the private employment restrictions are for that year, so that they can't say that when they violated it, that they never got a handout on it. So that's what Chicago and a lot of, and some of the other jurisdictions are doing. He even gave me a copy. He was nice enough to send it. I hope to forward it, but I think having ERS or any other agency hand it out, that's gonna be the issue.
So I can't go to work for NVIDIA or something like that, right?
Yeah,
Got
so,
it.
so, or I'm not sure, I'm not in my opinion. And of course, I've talked about AI and some other things that was very enlightening. Does Myra, do you have anything you want to add? Because we didn't all attend the same sections of sessions. We attended different ones.
I thought it was really great opportunity to get to, meet other people in, doing similar things that we do, to create a network of people that, you know, whether it be in Hawaii, from other agencies or even nationally, to, have resources that we can reach out to, see what other people are developing, compare, decide if we want to, maybe it's not appropriate, you know. But it was fantastic having that opportunity. And it was interesting, I enjoyed a, particular, seminar about investigations and, our handling of our case procedures, taking a look at that. And the gentleman, there's some people that often do training for our staff too, online training. So that's great. A lot of resources there. I learned a bit about outreach and education. I think our laws are a little, our confidentiality doesn't allow us to, but some jurisdictions can and do things like release the information regarding concerns that warrant what's the word I'm looking for? Probable cause. I mean, that would be, so every case they do, they have to release it. Our laws don't allow that for different policy reasons, such as if there's no probable cause, you probably don't want your name out there sullied. So their staff are handling a lot more different things. People are doing things such as podcasts, for example. I don't know whether we should do, but a lot of different jurisdictions are doing different things, and it's sort of interesting to see.
Ready?
So for my experience, I think just generally, not necessarily specific examples, generally, again, echoing what Myra said about the networking and having that opportunity to meet with other jurisdictions and find out what they do, how they do it. Given that I'm so
Closer to that, at least you're in.
Given that I'm so new to the office, I'm not really sure just yet what our policies and procedures are, so I'm still learning that. But just to get an idea of what other jurisdictions are doing, how they implement their rules and their procedures, that was very interesting for me to get to know that. There was one session that I was actually very interested in. I think Myra was in that as well, about the investigations, just to have an idea of how other jurisdictions do their investigations, how they report on their investigations. Very invaluable for me as the attorney, because I base a lot of my legal opinions or legal recommendations on the investigators' reports. So very informational for me as well. But yeah, the networking was just an invaluable experience.
Can I just add one more thing before the last thing I learned, and I got a list of it. Some of them were, in these challenging times, funding is a problem. And I think there are some good commissions that are looking for private funding because there are national organizations that have to deal with ethical laws that they want to keep in, especially, I think one of the examples was in Louisville, where the Ethics Commission was really challenged. And so you had people actually wanting to actually fund these things and make sure the Ethics Commission survives. So I got a list, and hopefully I'm going to explore more opportunities to get private funding from these organizations, that comply with our ethical laws. But that's always something that we need to look at rather than having to go hat in hand with the administration every year.
Myra had her hand up.
Myra.
Okay, I want to just mention one more thing that I'm grateful that Rainey was able to attend because she started work on Thursday. We let her know in the beginning of the week, oh, your travel got approved because of our great administrative assistant, got the paperwork through, got her name, officially can hire, put the travel paperwork in at lightning speed. Said, Rainey, can you travel on Friday? We can't tell you for certain whether or not you can, but are you ready to go? We'd like you to go. And she started work on Thursday, and she came to work on Friday and showed up to the airport at 7:00. So thank you.
After coming from Japan, like me.
That's right. She's had a whirlwind week.
Does anybody like to add anything?
Yeah, I just, last year when I was able to attend, I was called on several times to answer questions about how Hawaii does things or examples. Did you have an opportunity to share anything about us? Because everyone seemed to be very fascinated about Hawaii.
I think I did share a little bit about I had a question about the ADA. Not a lot of people from different jurisdictions seem to have that on their radar yet. I mean, some did, some didn't seem so long. Maybe they're not so assigned to it. Maybe they're from bigger, like state agencies have more money. The other thing was I had to tout, what our outreach and education program was, and what, you know, the board and the director have done in terms of emphasizing this outreach and education and prevention. You know, and I think, it's, you know, some better than others at other different things, but I think we have a very robust outreach and education program. And people were very impressed with it, you know, so I was able to share that.
It was over 400 attendees, and the sessions were large, especially the ones that we wanted to go to. I mean, the attendees in my session were over 50, so it's hard to get intimate in that respect. And, you know, they had a hard time just getting through with the information that they had, and taking all the questions and fielding all the questions. So, no, nobody asked me where I came from. Maybe at a cocktail they did, but no. But does anybody have any other questions or additions? Okay, well, let's move
All
on.
right, let's move on then.
Yeah.
So the next item on the agenda is item 3A, having to do with the ordinance relating to gifts and city officers and employees. We're on slide 16. We did have a public hearing for our draft rules. I think you all recall the very difficult discussion that we had about our proposed draft rules. We had a public hearing on Wednesday, December 3rd at 11:30. And we were all prepped and ready to go, and no one showed up. There was no testimony submitted. Nobody came to the WebEx meeting or in person. So we sat for 20 minutes just to ensure that nobody was running late. At the end of that, we called it and said, all right, our next meeting is when we go to the commission for one last hurrah. So Lori, and I'll turn it over to Associate Legal Counsel Wong Nowinski for the final recap.
Yeah, so, basically at this point, the draft that, that the commission last approved is the version that, is under review today for final review and approval by the commission. Once the commission does its final approval of this last draft, it will be routed to Corporation Council for review and approval as to form. Then it'll be routed to the mayor's office, and then finally to the city clerk for recordation.
I have a question before, and I hope that I don't create more problems, or I'm sorry about this, but at the last meeting before you took it to public hearing, I know we did away with the table of consanguinity. We did away with that. And because it was so confusing, but in Article 7.1.4, 2 and 3, I had expected that, you know, I may have missed it, but there would be a revision of the term within 4 degrees of consanguinity with respect to the relative. And I thought that there was, it's in, I checked everything, but it's only in 7-1-4 acceptable items. And my query to you is that, was I wrong in that the consanguinity table and the discussion and references were going to be admitted? Because if it's not, then I think we've got to go and educate people on what consanguinity is and what the 4th degree is for those two
We did
provisions.
make that.
Yeah, so,
Yes,
So I had the same recollection.
Yeah.
That you did.
so is it, and my question is, do we have to do a public hearing if we just, if the commission decides to just omit that phrase? And that's the only two that I could find. I poured through this last night.
So, Chair, in response to your question, the section that we removed the consanguinity that we had discussed, it was actually in section 7-1-6 regarding indirect gifts.
Right.
So we removed it from there, which is what the commission had advised. And in regards to the section that you're citing, 7-1-4.
2 and 3.
Subsection 2 and 3. This is actually the mirror image of our law, ROH, Revised Ordinance of Honolulu, section 1-19.7, subsection, I believe, D is our exemptions. So this mirrors that, and we wanted to stay consistent with what was in our law.
Okay.
So that's why this is the way, section 7-1-4 is the way it is.
So, I'm sorry, so the RH does reference relative within 4 degrees of consanguinity?
Correct.
Okay, so as long as it's in the statute, then I
Yeah.
think it's okay.
And I think that's what we
That's
discussed. Yeah, we discussed that.
Well, my mind is kind of hazy, and I think I could use refreshment and recollection.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to bring that up. Are there any other comments about this?
Not from staff, as far as I know.
Okay, well, I think what you're asking us for is a motion to approve the final draft
That is correct.
as corrected and to allow, the chair to sign this document and to put it forth to before, I can't sign it, to give it to the corp council first, right? That's the process. You gotta give it to the corp council and then it comes back,
Actually, it would, go through your signature first.
okay?
Mr. Chair, one last question on something.
Sure.
So is the ROH cited? It is.
You mean the 4 degrees of constancy?
It's-
Is it cited?
That's the law.
Yes,
And
it's,
we documented that that was the law with the reference.
yes. It is cited in the implementation. If you look at the very end of 7-1-6, there's a parentheses and it has the implementation statute, ROH section 1-19.7 cited there.
Yeah. And that's simply for reference, correct?
Correct.
Yes, that's.
So would it behoove us to add this reference again under this section when we mention the 4 degrees of consanguinity?
It is. It is there.
Yeah.
We don't mention it. It's mentioned as a reference,
It's in there.
Right.
correct?
It's in here.
And so our text, yeah, let's get clarification on this then.
Yeah, so if I may interject, all right, so when you put up rules, right, there's, at the very end, there's citations of authority and implementation. The citations of authority that would be that AUTH colon. That is a reference, it's a reference in a Ramsey format that would permit the commission in its powers, it has the right to adopt rules. The implementation shows the sections that it is implementing, and 1-19.7, I believe, is the provision that this mirrors. And so those references would then show any reader that you would go, actually, you would have the law out and the implementation, which would be this 1-19.7 as you read these administrative rules. Administrative rules can, they can explain or narrow, they cannot expand.
I see. So it's under, I see it under after
Implementation.
7-1-4. It says effective authorization 1-19-7. Yes?
Yes, that's correct.
So it was repetitious to have to put it right after the 2 subsections. Are there any more questions?
We need a motion?
Yeah,
I move.
Yes, please.
That we adopt this language as specified in the, what is this? It's a
Draft, administrative rules.
So the motion is to approve the revised draft proposed administrative rules, chapter 7-1, entitled Gifts to City Officers and Employees and Fair Treatment.
yes, that is the motion.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Second is made by Vice Chair Marks. Okay. Now, before we begin with the vote, is there any discussion?
So just one last comment.
Commissioner Fibonacci?
So I think the confusing part was the Ramsey formatting that was used in the
Yeah.
September 18, 2025 draft, which deleted a portion of that
Mhm.
wording.
Right, because the Ramsey formatting that was shown in the prior version of the rules that was distributed at the
Right.
meeting was merely a Ramsey of the prior draft, right? There will be no final Ramsey to submit with this version of the rules because there didn't exist any
Yes.
prior to this.
I got confused because there was a September 17, 25 draft and a September 18, 25,
Mhm.
and then this draft.
Right, right.
So
So
trying to,
this is the clean
read them all was a little bit hard.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the commission had requested that we do a Ramsar, but a Ramsar would be, you typically, the Ramsar format is done when you have existing administrative rules and you're making changes to them. In this case, we're adopting wholesale, a brand new part. And the Ramsar was supposed to have eased the reading, but perhaps it made it more confusing.
It was also highlighted.
Yes.
It's sort of like track changes.
Yeah,
It's a legislatively sort of
adopted.
adopted
way of
method of doing
drafting.
track change, yeah.
Yeah, so in the Hawaii Rules of Civil Procedure, amended complaints have to be in Ramsey report. That's why I know about it.
Yeah, yeah, we refer to the legislative drafting manuals and the administrative rules drafting manuals. They both come out of the Legislative Reference Bureau at the state.
Okay.
Any other questions?
That's my only comment.
Sorry?
That's my only comment.
Oh, okay. Are there any questions before we vote? Okay, I'd like to have an audible vote on this, if I could. Would each commissioner signify their vote on this particular, motion? We're starting with me. Yes? Okay.
Mark votes yes.
I,
Based on the discussion we had, yes.
Yes.
So we have a unanimous vote, okay? Is there anything more we need to do besides give you the unanimous vote? I think from there you take it to, I sign it and you take it to court counsel.
Yes, correct. After this meeting, we will go back into the draft rules, and at the very end, there's a certification page. And we need to, insert the dates on the date on which it was adopted, which is today by the commission. And then after that, we'll ask you, Chair, to sign off on it. And then we will forward it on for processing.
Okay, I will happily do that. Next, with that, we have a discussion of the 2025 Honolulu Charter Amendment proposals of public submission forms and for discussion, proposal numbers 192, 229, and 233. Let's when we take them one at a time, and you can have any discussion. I kind of have it all memorized already. I've been through it. So when we take proposal number 192 and see if, can you bring that up on the board?
Excuse me, Chair.
Yes.
Before we get to the individual proposals, a general question. I have the proposals actually already printed out with my own comments, but I don't, it's been a while since I looked at the cover letter that was used to transmit them. Are we invited to submit our own position, the commission's position on any of these proposals, or is this purely for discussion?
Well, I was going to provide a little bit of background about the Charter Commission, because it happens only once every 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Right? This administration has really encouraged community involvement. And so there are over 250 proposals, which I'm told by those who have worked on this in the past, that is unheard of in terms of the number of proposals that have come into the commission. We understand that the commission hears each one of them preliminarily, and they are numbered by proposal. There's no summary or anything. They're just given a number. And they put them on separate agendas and decide at that first meeting whether or not to move them on to another hearing and for more deliberation and language.
do they drop dead if it doesn't move on?
Yes, if they do not move on, then they drop dead. If they move on, then there'll be further hearings on, I guess, tailoring and amending language.
I think what Commissioner Monk was asking was, Vice Chair Monk was asking whether or not when we had the discussion, do we then send our opinions or the commission's opinions, or do we forward it to?
For example, in the form of a motion by the commission, either to support or to oppose
Yeah.
a particular.
You can do it in any number of different ways. I think the concern that staff has had, we found out about a hearing last Thursday that was on Monday on some matters that we didn't even know were part of the proposals package. These agendas seem to come out kind of fast, and we will not have an opportunity to come back to the commission for opinion on testimony. The three that were heard, 229 was one of them. We offered comments, so no position of opposition or support. but offered comments that would help, and basically provide resource to the Charter Commission. If the commission wants to take a position, then it can. But then we are gonna be bound by that position. And even if an agenda comes up before the next meeting, which there will be lots of agendas before the February meeting.
Yeah.
We would have to stick to that position as opposed to move with the changes of the proposal. We are at this point offering comments, just as a matter of resource more than anything. The 1229 was actually put in by mayor's office. And so for us,
1229 or 229?
229 was mayor's office.
Yeah, that was the one about funding.
Yes, yes.
I-
It would probably be a little awkward for us to oppose, but we would offer comments to provide guideposts or guidelines so that if they were to go forward with something like that, the Charter Commission would know that we have looked at those issues in the past and we have suggested, certain kinds of parameters or things that would help make the measure better. I think
Sorry.
I think preliminary discussion with some of the commission has indicated that the next meeting, if it passes the first meeting, goes on to the next, then substantive comments are kind of more appropriate at that second meeting.
Okay.
And, I'm gonna turn to both Amara and Lori to provide a little bit more context. They did attend the Monday meeting with 3 proposals, yeah.
I need a summary.
Yeah, and if you wanted to add any more about how the commission is proceeding with these proposals, then please.
Before we move on, can I just, one more thing?
Yes,
Sure.
I assume that we are, as individuals, we are free to submit our own.
yes, of course,
comments.
of course.
So what happens if we do make a comment out of this commission? How's it gonna go back to the, actually the charter? Does it, or? no?
If the commission takes an active position, whether oppose or deny, or disapprove, approve, then the testimony that we would draft will reflect that opinion.
Okay.
In other ones that we're offering comments, it's more suggestions based upon our own work, right? Past practice, what we've suggested in our request for advice, in some cases in advisory opinions. And the only caveat again is that if the commission takes a hard and fast position on something, we won't be able to flex with any changes that are made until the commission again restates a different or their new position at a subsequent meeting. So
Well-
and testimony is a little bit tricky that way.
Go ahead.
And these 3 proposed amendments are affecting our commission? Is that the reason they're up there? That's, yeah, 'cause I know of others.
Well, I'd
Yeah,
like,
there are others that have raised.
I know, I was hearing one, yeah.
I'd like to say that, the 2 of them, aside from 229, I've looked at them based upon my experience. It's not something that's gonna be tweaked. It's not something that you're gonna change later on, and it's gonna come back in its own reformat. It's something that you're gonna like. Say, for example, 192 has to do with the commission, basically it says that you start getting into concurrent jurisdiction of campaign spending, and that's not something that we want to do. Correct, and section 233 has to do with the elected commission board.
Right, handing the commission to a collector.
Yeah, the elected, and I'm not sure if you
I
have any,
suppose all of them, but
if you have experience, like, are you being on an elected board or board of education, that's not something that I would fondly recommend, but nonetheless, I think that for those 2, I don't know, I don't care how you're gonna, use it, change it, or fix it up. It's kind of like it is or it isn't, and I think that we can take a position one way or the other.
It's 229.
So the rationale, can we just go through each one of them like very briefly?
Yes,
Like 192, the reason is a no because,
well, I think we've got to have discussion, but basically the reason for the no is because it asks the ethics commissions to be involved in having concurrent jurisdiction over the campaign fund, the
so that's,
responsibility for enforcing city campaign financing laws. I don't even think there is city campaign funding law that I'm aware of. There is.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah,
So, this hasn't come up on agenda yet, so I don't, once, if it comes up on agenda, it may make it onto the charter, amendment that by ballot, right? ballot question,
Yeah.
but if it doesn't, I don't think it makes it there. But in terms of the substance of this, I think constitutionally, by state constitution, not city charter, election, campaign spending is the jurisdiction of the state campaign
Yeah.
spending commission, so, amongst other legal reasons.
Yeah.
Do we know who promoted these these?
These are public answers.
The name of the individual on the proposal is Kiara Bakasan.
Well,
So not someone
Other
from
than the mayor proposal, I think the plan individual proposed.
Okay.
Who is it? Is it Iwasa?
No,
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 it's Kiara Bakasan. I don't know how to say the.
not
last
someone on the charter I'm not on the campaign commission.
I think it matters.
I don't think so, but
I-
nonetheless,
Everybody-
there has always been questions raised at council about jurisdiction when it comes to campaign finance. And it's very clear, not only by constitution, but by state, law, that campaign finance is it's the jurisdiction of the state.
Well,
And so
state
this-
law. we-
Right, it's state law, so
No, I
the city
agree
has never
completely.
been.
Apples and oranges here.
And somebody didn't tell the maker that there's no city campaign financing laws.
Yes,
Right.
well,
she's with the Hawaii Ulu Cooperative,
Oh,
says Stanford University. That's her LinkedIn. I have no idea.
So I'm willing to entertain any request. Do you want to make a comment, not make a comment? I don't know what you guys want to do because,
or take a position.
or take a position. You know, I have my own personal convictions and I may be willing to send something in on a personal note about this, but it's up to all of you commissioners as to whether you want to take a position or not.
well, it's illogical, so I say no.
Yeah, so the question, we weren't asked, right, to take a position
No, we were not asked to
by
take,
the charter committee.
no, we're not asked to take, but we can forward comments.
And normally if you're not asked, when politics best known to say it.
No, but it affects us directly.
Yeah, we
It's
do
directly
provide
about our testimony,
testimony.
our responsibilities and commitments and mission. And that's not our mission.
229 is the one I would,
Well, we'll get to.
Yeah, we're getting
To that, but let's start one at a time.
This is
On,
102.
on
Is it also-
192,
Our testimony was
is
not
it the,
the testimony with the commit with additional numbers.
is it the?
Yes,
the
yes.
commission that,
They're
that
not-
wants to
yes.
comment on
That's
this
the
provision,
name of that.
We'll call about it.
make no
Yeah,
comment,
we're getting to.
or take a position?
I think we should comment and take a position since it directly mentions us. This commission.
Does anybody have any discussion?
Hold on just a minute. I have a question for Jeff Cam. If our agenda, provides enough notice, if the commission is gonna be taking action, because right now it just says for discussion. It doesn't say action
That's a problem.
on the
Okay.
agenda, so I don't know if the commission can take a position and vote at this time.
And we recommend that you go into executive session if, court deputy Cam is going to be advised.
Whatever's appropriate.
Well, I think,
Jeff, are you on time?
I think, Jeff, I think I.
I'm online.
I-
I'm waiting for you. I'm online. I'm waiting to see if you folks want to go into executive session to talk to me or not.
Do we have?
This
to
would be
do this?
attorney-client.
For discussion, I don't think we need to go into it. It's only if we want to find out whether we need to take a position on it and whether on this agenda item as listed, we've given the public enough notice that we're going to take a position on it. May I suggest that it says for discussion, and as this continues to be evolving, I think it will reflect in the minutes, the thoughts of each commissioner. And we'll leave it at that until it gets more formal. Is that something that you're more interested in doing and not having to go into executive session because we're going to have to do it very shortly?
I prefer not to go into
Yeah.
executive session. I think that, as you point out, the way that the agenda for this meeting is formatted, saying for discussion, we're actually precluded from taking any formal action.
Yeah. And if you want to consult your court deputy, whether you can take action, I suggest you go into executive session anytime you have an attorney-client privilege with your attorney. Or otherwise it's waived.
The minutes can reflect no positive or lots of negative comments, as we are allowed to do
Is
so.
there a deadline for comments?
I don't know. Is there a deadline?
No, there is no deadline. The way this work, my understanding of the process is that this is like any other hearing. They will put out an agenda. They will list the proposals that are going to be considered. And then there is a ask for testimony. There is no demand for testimony, but thank you. No, she said. Good. So there's no demand for testimony. It's just a need, they put out an agenda and then the public can put in testimony.
Well, we could do, I mean, we can defer this, this year. Say,
We could offer
We need
comments
comments.
because the comments would not reflect a position one way or the other, but we could offer comments.
Just for discussion.
So could the comment be that, this is irrelevant to the Ethics Commission because of public law that already exists?
Well, we can,
Or how could we comment? How could we comment and remain within the rules?
so the other proposals that were heard on Monday, two of them are not part of this three. There were other proposals that we had, advised on in the past by way of request for advice or advisory opinion. And so our comment reflected what those requests for advice had said. In one case, it was to provide certain guidelines around, the nature of the proposal. We could in 192 reference that state law, Constitution and state law, the jurisdiction for campaign finance is the state and not the city. That is offering a comment that doesn't take a position one way or the other.
Right, I
And we
think
can't do
that's
that.
sufficient.
Okay, so the commission doesn't have to take a position.
Right.
The staff can comment on measures as the agendas come up.
And you can compare.
Neutrally.
All right.
Yeah, we're just
State
telling you
the
know
facts.
what the law is.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just the fact.
We just want the commission to be apprised of the fact that this process is going
Mhm.
and that there will be numerous meetings and, there will be ample opportunity to actually take a position on a future amendment if it triggers that kind of involvement.
Great.
Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll move on to, I want to take up for discussion the Charter Amendment 233 pertaining to the election of commissioners. Do you have any comments or discussion?
Get that back to the
And I'll start in, yes.
Chair, I do have a comment. The state constitution has a provision that says that every county, city and county shall, or, political subdivision shall create an ethics commission, which is why we have this ethics commission. And it says that its commission members shall be, basically provided for in a way that's, I can't remember the exact language, but basically sort of a neutral, independent, commission members. And so to that extent, this might,
Yes, jeopardize that.
might jeopardize that.
If it's an elected, elected.
It's totally circumvents.
Well, my comment is irrespective of jeopardizing, it's a bad idea, having been on the Board of Education. And elected, that's a bad idea. Only gives unions more opportunity to control the commission as a body. That's what you get into, and you've got a campaign. So anyway, and I'm not certain that it is legal to the extent that I believe the State Board of Education, is that by statute or is that by Constitution? Because if that is, then they, I don't think that we would be able to create an elected commissioner board for the ethics under law, for Constitution. Yes.
I apologize, Chair. I was speaking regarding 233. Sorry, you wanted to discuss 299. Can I make a comment on that?
No,
You were, okay, 233. I'm sorry, my apologies.
Yeah.
Which is the elected. That's just a comment. Does anybody else want to make a comment?
It's circumventing, it's circumventing the police, the law.
Yeah.
I mean, it's circumventing judicial
You mean law?
system that they can just remove somebody because, you know, it's just unethical is what it is, frankly.
But my comment would be,
Yes.
ultimately, whether this is elective or appointed is not something for the commission, I think, to decide or comment on. Because we're serving as appointed members. I don't think there's any push here to all run for office. So I think, you can do it individually maybe, but maybe the commission doesn't really have any,
Authority.
well, any reason to comment as a commission.
Where we can express our comments and they will be summarized and for future reference later on.
Well, I would say this is an incomplete recommendation. It doesn't say how those 7 people will be elected and from where. I mean, it's replacing the commission is what they're basically saying is that, and they're going to be an arm that doesn't have any obligation to report to anyone. So they're like,
Yeah,
You
no
know.
procedures.
yeah, no protocol, no procedure. They're just, Wild West cowboys out there going after whoever they want to go. And the fact that nobody's name or organization is even there to say who.
Well, we know it's a business.
Actually, it makes a change from the executive branch to the legislative branch.
Make a
The
change.
proposal, yeah, the proposal states that the Honolulu Ethics Commission should not report to the mayor or city managing director. There should be an ethics commission elected by the citizens of Honolulu who report to the city council, which can investigate ethics violations committed by the mayor.
Chair, I have several
Okay, but-
specific comments about
Yes.
this.
Go ahead.
So what you just read is not clear where this commission administrative is located.
And how?
Whether it's
Yeah.
hanging out there like the Honolulu Police Department.
So may I just run through, I thought there were huge flaws with this. To begin with, the existing ethics commission already has the authority to enforce ethics laws with regard to all city officials and employees. There's no exception now for the mayor and the managing director, who seem to be targets of this proposal. It suggests that the ethics commission is somehow under the authority of the mayor and the managing director, and therefore not in a position to enforce ethics laws upon them, which we are, in fact. The mayor has the authority to remove the managing director in the case of violations. And the mayor and the council members are all subject to recall or impeachment as provided under the charter. So there's nobody who's exempt under current arrangements. We have the authority to impose civil fines and to recommend other discipline, including suspension and termination, the appropriate hiring authority. Our authority extends to the city council, having when this proposed commission report to the city council would only shift the question of undue influence from one branch of government to another. And the independence of the ethics commission is underpinned by the nature of the appointment nominated by the mayor, confirmed by the council and the current commission. It's not clear to me whether under the charter, the mayor can remove a member for reasons other than consistent absence from official meetings. Google says that the mayor can remove an ethics commissioner for cause, including false statements or sunshine law violations, but I don't see the statute that actually spells that out. It may be there. Commissioners serve without compensation, so have no financial incentive, for example, to curry favor for reappointment. They are subject to the same ethics laws as all city officials and employees, and thus can be investigated and disciplined for conflict of interest. And also, the election of commissioners would, in fact, politicize the commission.
Correct.
So that's a negative right there. I think there's any number of reasons to reject this.
Those,
Any more comments?
well, I was gonna ask David, are those comments that you're prepared to send on your own name?
Yeah, I would definitely be willing to submit these personally.
I would concur with you. I think that's very well stated, and I do think we should take, I guess, not have to vote on it, but
Yeah.
I think that should come from our commission or each one of us on the commission. No, I think it's very valid to make those points.
Stating very clearly that we're
Yes.
speaking individually,
Yes.
not for the commission.
Because somebody who doesn't know what we do wrote this. Clearly, they don't get it.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you have a final comment?
So the part about the city council is in the what issue or concern are you trying to address? Well, the actual proposed change, there's no city council mention.
But my understanding is that what happens is the concepts come in on these Google Docs as proposals. If it passes the first round, then there will actually be language drafted, as well as a question posed, because the question is what would actually go on to the.
I'm just saying the change.
Yes,
It doesn't say anything about the city council.
yes.
So
I
somebody would
agree
have
that
to add that.
it's in a different,
I don't know why they didn't, it's not in there.
That's correct.
So it's basically an orphan commission, right?
I think in the drafting, they would bring into play the change of branch.
But as proposed to the vice person, it has no home.
Again, this is the proposal as it came
So
in
maybe
from
the way we can
proposer.
do this is to say the existing commission has powers, which are clear is duplicative of what this proposal was trying to do. Something to that effect, just the factual statement.
Yeah, that would be an appropriate comment.
I think it's appropriate comment and will be integrated in the documents. As we just
We're
commented.
just saying this is what, we're authorized to do.
Do you have a copy of your points?
I can make one available.
Please, because I think for Leland's purposes
Sure.
of the minutes, it would be.
I'll transmit them to you by email later.
It would be good because then we can all jump on the comments. And add some. But we can't, I don't think we can send it out as a group. I think it has to be sent out individually.
And that's how they would go in minutes. These are individual.
Really? So should each one of us submit?
I think it is,
I think we can submit directly to the charter commission also. That's how I planned.
yeah, but I'm not sure we
As
can
an
all sign on.
As an individual.
As an individual?
That sounds like a decision.
Right.
That's what,
Oh,
We can't sign on and say
Okay.
these.
We all agree.
Because that looks like a violation.
okay. So can you copy us in on your comments and we
I think
can
I can't,
rephrase?
but I can send them to the staff and then the
They can
chair
forward
can
it.
decide whether to forward.
They can forward it to each.
Well, I would like to see that, then I would rephrase what
Yes.
you've written.
So
So you
share,
can
share
forward-
vice chair's comments
Yeah.
with the
And I'll do it, that's just for the formality of some.
Yeah, so why don't we-
I'll send the Leland copy to Chair and Jan and say I have no objection to sharing.
Okay, because we will be relying on those bullet points for the purposes of the minute.
At least for the minutes, for
Yeah.
the general
Right.
comments, the vice chair, yeah. that would-
basically, we're trying to avoid being in a
Yeah, gotcha.
decision mode.
Right.
Absolutely.
Can we move on to the last one, which is, proposed 229 concerning, what the mayor has, or the administration has proposed to allow, private funding for certain projects and, is it
Would you
open for
like to
discussion?
summarize the testimony that, we submitted comments, again, not to agree or disagree.
So commissioners, on Monday, December 15th, the agenda for the Charter Commission was it was different from what's in your meeting materials. It was actually on budget and finance and miscellaneous. So, so as Jan had previously mentioned, we received the agenda for that on the prior Thursday. And there was a category on there called gifts. And under that, there were 3 proposals. It was proposal number 109, 110, and 229. I see here that 109 and 110 are not on this particular agenda. So I can't really speak about them, totally, but in general, like 229, it's basically about private-public partnerships and how they want to change the charter so that the mayor or any city officer can solicit money or, you know, gifts to the city from various other organizations. And so in a nutshell, that's basically what it is. And so we submitted written testimony, comments only in regard to these three proposals on the gifts. Yeah. So Myra and I attended the Charter Commission hearing this past Monday. Myra made an appearance for us and, you know, there were no questions at that time. But in sum, we basically identified what the proposals were. We stated that we felt that these proposals would would interfere with the independence of judgment of the city officers or employees because it would mandate priorities and through this charter amendment as opposed to allowing, you know, various administrations to do that.
Right, it actually made solicitation mandatory, solicitation and acceptance of gifts mandatory.
And finally, we also said that, you know, even if it were made permissive instead of mandatory, there were problems because it may trigger violations of the revised charter of Honolulu, section 11104, misuse of position, and a lot of safeguards would have to be put in place in order to ensure that didn't happen. So in a nutshell, that's basically what it was.
And because we framed it as comments, we didn't say there would be these problems. We said, you know, if it were permissive, you would need these guidelines to comply with ethics rules. So we kind of gave them the bumpers, which I think the executive branch is really aware of, the mayor's office, you know, it's in relation to 229, you know, because they've asked us, we've told them, oh, how, you know, and so we kind of listed the bumpers needed there. And then we also cited the, you know, acknowledged that there's existing council resolution regarding gifts to the city. So they can go through that procedure.
Understanding of why this was submitted by the mayor's office? I mean,
I have an idea,
Yeah,
but
what's an
I'm
idea?
trying to figure out what the motive is for that.
I don't think we are at liberty to
Yeah.
comment on
Fair.
specific requests for advice that we get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chair,
Very dangerous territory.
Chair,
Well, it's confidential.
Yeah.
I think Jan and Laurie might recall a couple of years ago, I shared some articles from San Francisco where there was a huge ethics scandal, basically involving a senior city official who had been soliciting donations from private donors for worthy projects, but that it involved conflicts of interest galore because donors can also be contractors with the city, can also be under jurisdiction of city departments and needing permits or whatever it might be. So for city officials to solicit funds from those donors is a huge can of worms. And it actually, I think, can't remember, it might have resulted in jail terms, but it certainly resulted in fines, big fines.
Infested waters.
Yeah.
Another example, another example is unfolding in real time. The president wants to put the ballroom onto the White.
Oh, sure.
And he solicited private funding. This would allow that.
You can buy your way in, basically.
It doesn't say that.
No, but that's what it is.
Nobody else needs free permit. to fill the
No, the
bathroom.
mayors did not have the mayor's office's bill, the 229, did not have a mandatory, it was permissive. The two other proposals regarding Parks Department, one was relating to swimming pools and swimming programs, the other one was related to Parks Department's restrooms or public restrooms, that solicitation and acceptance of gifts would be mandatory. So the mayor's proposal did not have a mandatory provision, just a permissive one.
Are there any other comments that you want to make? Because I think there are going to be huge problems with this particular provision, as with the other two, but we'll have to see how it progresses down the line with the Charter Commission. I think that's when it'd be much more pertinent for our input.
I forgot to mention the results of the vote at the commission, chair. There was a vote. And these three agenda items that we submitted comments on, the vote was whether or not it was appropriate to advance forth, right? And the only one that, was on the list, but that they felt appropriate to advance forth is 229, the mayor's bill. So the other two might, I'm not sure at this point whether it could still come alive again. But, it did pass muster this time on that specific.
Maybe through a conference committee, like I was legislature. I've gotten replaced. You never know. Just being sarcastic. Are there any other comments on this section? I think you've captured a lot of comments.
All right, then, then we'll
I'll get back to
proceed.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I guess we'll proceed with comments. If any other proposals come forward and not take a position, we will alert the commission if something comes up that seems to impact directly. And we'll continue to monitor all these measures and submit comments.
Well, I think you can summarize it by saying that none of the three provisions had any comments of any support. Or any positive, I think you can summarize that
In
comment.
discussion, in our discussions.
Yeah.
In
Putting that
minutes.
I mean, it's clear it was.
discussion, yes.
I don't see anybody saying, yeah, this is a good locust fundraising stuff, or anything of that nature. Or I want to be actually elected, I mean, just summarize it like that, and that's good.
Okay. Then with that, that concludes my report. And I think you have one more item on your.
Yeah, we have executive session, and that's
So we can excuse ourselves.
right. And would you make sure that nobody's on the Zoom?
Yes.
I don't even
We
think,
didn't need Jeff Allen. no.
I don't think he is even permitted.
No need.
No,
I can wait outside when you're ready,
Right.
go back in, then you pull
We'll make
that
it
out.
fast, we're all hungry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Online will be placed back in the
So
waiting room.
are you adjourned?
okay.
Okay,
We do need a motion and a second.
Yes, we're
to
not-
go into executive
I want to
session.
be sure that they're all removed first.
Well, you have to
First,
go into.
Open.
I move to enter executive session.
Yes. And is there any motion for us to go into executive session to discuss about the question of should the Ethics Commission enter into executive session to review and approve the executive session minutes of August 20th and September 2nd, 2025, pertaining to issues relating to HRS Section 92-5A2 to consider the hire, evaluation, dismissal, or discipline of an officer or employee, or of charges brought against the officer or employee where consideration of matters affecting privacy will be involved. That
So
will
moved.
Second, so Lucas moved, Joyce is
Any
second.
opposition?
Well, I was gonna say, if we oppose it, then we wouldn't go into executive session.
Yes.
Correct.
We oppose. It's all right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get outvoted, that's what we
You
want.
will get outvoted.
I will mark with one opposition.
Yeah, and one,
Absence.
Yeah.
Right, we went back to
If
five.
anybody-
Two absences. Cynthia is not here. Yeah, she is Harry.
okay, the motion has been passed. Right now, we're permitted to go into executive session.
We will put everyone in the waiting room.
Yes,
Yes, please.
please.
Okay, we'll see you later.
I turned on the audio, so you
Okay.
can come back.
So you just report to the next one.
Yes.
Yes.
Back on the open session, we completed our executive session, and during the executive session, it was approved unanimously by all commissioners to accept and adopt the executive session minutes of August 20th and September 2nd of 2024, as indicated on the agenda listed on the executive session. That sounds confusing, but we adopted it, but here we go.
That makes sense.
Okay, with that, we have a next meeting on Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. So Chair would entertain any request to place this item on any items, and if it requires some item that needs to be on an executive session, please let the chair know as it was done, and we'll try to see what we can do after consultation with Jeff on this issue, okay? But I heard you, and I can discuss this more in detail about whether or not we need an executive session for that. Are there any other items for open session that you'd like to bring up?
So continue to report on the charter commission issues. The ones already on the agenda.
Yeah, we'll continue to keep the commission apprised.
Okay, thank you.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Yes,
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And final note, thank you again, Commissioner Apple.
Well, thank you for your forbearance. I just want to tell you that when I came on the commission, I was told I had to get, and when I was gonna go before the council, I had to get people testifying to my good character or my background or something like that. And John Barkey, I asked John Barkey, who's Linda's husband, he's at the law school. I said, well, he said, I'm gonna do this. I'll write you one, but I really think you ought to have a psych exam first. That's what he told me.
That's Mark.
That was Barkey.
Thank you so very much, Commissioner, and we'll see you back in February, and I'll talk to you specifically.
Okay.
And I'd just like to take a minute with everybody from the commission
Yes.
to mention that I did order a floral display for the
Yeah.
husband.
Oh, that's-
Former Commissioner